This wild and crazy year. Who would have believed coming into this year that Governor Dr. Robert Bentley would henceforth and forever be known as the Luv Guv. Alabama's bad grandpa who you don't want to turn your back on. I mean, who would have thought that Mike Hubbard, the most powerful man in Alabama, would be convicted of 12 felonies on charges of violating the ethics law, which he claims to have helped to build. Sentencing is tomorrow, by the way, and he can go to prison, which he did not help to improve. Who would have thought Roy Moore? Oh wait, never mind. Everybody would have thought that. There's so much going on. I scarcely know where to start. So I'm going to go back. This whole thing is just so weird. And for me, it involves some moments I'm really proud of, wrapped around a moment that I'm not. So I guess to think about this, you've got to go back to the fall of 2014, right, which is the first time anybody ever looked me in the eye and said, the governor is having an affair with his political advisor, who is 30 years younger than him, and who is paid through a dark money group that nobody can identify. And I spit coffee through my nose. So, and that was during a campaign, and you're all politically connected, so you know that nobody with any wisdom anywhere listens to anything during a campaign and believes it. So nobody would ever go on the record about it. There were rumors of tapes out there, recordings. We all heard them. It was out there, but there was never anybody with any direct knowledge of this that said it. And so it went on and went on. Rumors began. The Mike Hubbard case, Mike had been indicted. That case was moving forward. The budget was in free fall. Things were going on. Then of course, when Diane Bentley filed for divorce, it kicked back up, the thing kept going on. And then the fall of last year, I wrote, the governor himself and Aaliyah Secretary Spencer Collier decided to close driver's license offices in rural counties to save a little money. And I wrote some pretty critical columns about that, which got a lot of national attention. And Spencer Collier was livid, right? So he started calling to tell me how wrong I was. And so we talked back and forth, and we never reached agreement on whether I was an idiot or not. But at some point in those conversations, we sort of got to a little appreciate each other for one. I mean, to at least show some respect for one another. And at the same time, the Hubbard case was going on, and it became clear that the governor was interjecting himself into the Hubbard case. And that was ticking Collier off. And so he, talked a little bit about that. And he said, someday, when the time is right, if the time is right, I'm going to tell you something. And I said, okay, great, thanks. Because he'd never told me anything worthwhile on the record before, so, So that brings us to March of this year, when it's like 5:30 at night on a Tuesday, and it's been a long day, and I'm driving home, and I get this call from Spencer Collier, the head of Aaliyah, and he starts talking. He says, I saw this evidence against, the government. The governor's having this affair, and, it's on tape, and I'd heard all this before, and I was going, And it goes on for about 5 minutes, then all of a sudden clicks on my head that he's giving me times and dates and chronologies. And I'm in the car at a stoplight, and I say, wait a minute, Spencer, are you telling me this on the record? It was not a great moment in my journalism career. And he says, yes. And I said, oh, crap, and I pulled over, and it was not a great moment in my driving career either. And so, I pull a pin, and I get it on a Whole Foods bag, and I start can you say all that again, please? And he did it, and I'll never forget in my life. I hung up the phone, and I was hyperventilating. And I called my editor, and I said, the head of Alabama's law enforcement agency just told me on the record that the governor is having an affair with his legal advisor, that he has confronted the governor about it. The governor has refused to do anything, and he has heard the tapes, which were given to him by Stan Stabler, who is now a lead director. And I got to write this, And at that point, I called the governor's office, basically left the same message because I didn't answer the phone because I had to write this. And by the time they called me back, an hour later, they had fired Spencer Collier. So, the next morning, of course, this thing went crazy. It went nuts. Spencer Collier had one of the best press conferences I've ever seen in Montgomery, and the governor had one of the worst that has ever been. And I will just say, whoever gave him political advice at that time, well, we know that she's already been fired. But anyway, so, and since that, of course, Mike Hubbard has been convicted. Things do change, and I didn't mean to ramble that much. I apologize for that. But and that's it in a nutshell. At the beginning of this, I think I said that I'm not an optimist, but that's a lie. Down deep, I'm an idealist, and I think most Democrats are idealists. Most reasonable people are idealists. They would like to see better things happen. I'm optimistic every time hypocrisy is revealed for what it is. And every time a public official is punished for putting himself or herself over the people they represent. And every time I meet people like you guys who work and stand up for what you believe in order to make the world a better place. So I am an optimist. Just please don't make me recite that optimist creed ever again.